I know one of the things that I've been asked before, and I'm sure you have, is the decision between one dog breed versus another. What's the consensus on that, or is it more like the Dodge, Chevrolet, Ford kind of thing?
You try to stay away from insulting somebody's dog breed, and doing so many demonstrations. Anytime you get in and around, and people always ask about the German Shepherd as opposed to the Belgian Malinois, or the Belgian Malinois as opposed to from days gone by Doberman Pinschers or a Rottweiler and stuff like that. The clean answer here is that you can look at a German Shepherd or a Belgian Malinois. You can look at 10 of those dogs and you could find probably 8 that would fit your program,
Right.
on an average. For every other dog you look at, every other dog breed you look at, that number gets smaller. So if you're going to go away and look at a dog that's going to be evaluated for placement in your program, you're going to want to see those 10 dogs and pick one from
Right.
those 8. You're not going to want to have to make that trip again and see another dog.
Right.
German Shepherds are the go-to breed as far as police work goes. Belgian Malinois are up and coming. They're showing their physical abilities over the Shepherd. The Shepherds have had some problems. A lot of heavy breeding, inbreeding, such like that have made the Shepherds. You have to be very careful about what you're buying these days because of the hip dysplasia and spinal degenerative diseases, cancer, you name it. You can run the gamut medically on German Shepherds. The Belgian Malinois is showing that they haven't been bred that much. Unfortunately, inevitably it's going to turn out that way in years to come. But they're an up and coming breed that are being used for police work.
There's a lot to selecting these animals. It's not just
sure.
running down to the pound and just picking up
Sure.
any animal.
And in our selection process, one of the first things you're looking for is sociability. The dog has to be social in pretty much every environment, with the handler, with the family. We do gobs of demonstrations a year, and you have to have a dog that'll run and play with kindergartners and then turn around and be that nasty dog that everybody thinks a police canine should be.
Now, you mentioned a lot about the training, the initial training, and the 400 hours to get involved. How much training do you do on a regular basis, let's say weekly?
We have a maintenance training day once a week, where all the teams get together and we do maintenance training. Really depends on what's scheduled that day, training-wise, whether we're doing patrol work or apprehension work or tracking or trailing, area searches, you name it, or we might throw a little bit of everything into it. Then we have detection days also, where the dogs will get together and do the narcotics detection, explosives detection, and so on and so forth. The training never stops, though. That day is set aside so the trainers and the handlers and the dogs can all get together and work out maybe a problem here or a problem there, or if we've had the occurrence of a problem over that week span since the last training day, work out some problem solving. It's not unlike us to go back out to where an actual search area was and train in that search area just to condition the dog and put the dog back through that situation again to see if there was something the dog or the handler could have done differently to make it work. But the training never stops. I mean, when I go home and I tell my dog to sit and stay, that's training. As long as he sits and stays, the training never ends.
So it's really constant. I know that a lot of times, myself included, I have 3 dogs myself, and you're always constantly trying to get them to do one thing or another, not just for tricks and shows, but to be safe and to
Sure.
so you know that when you say one thing or another, they need to do it.
It never ends. And if you at home were to stop telling your dog things for a 3-4 week period, would your dog listen to you when you went to make them do it again? It's got to be repetitive, and you have to keep doing it.
Now, for the care of the animals, is there any specific maintenance or care that you seek for the animals?
We have pretty much diet is a big deal. Obviously, grooming and such is going to play into it, but feeding is always a big deal. We feed our dogs all natural food, and then we have a vitamin supplement that we add to their food, which has shown us just in the couple of years we've been using it, it's prolonged the workability of these dogs immensely.
Now, talking about the maintenance and food and things like that. Where primarily does the funding come from to take care of the animals?
Well, the care and maintenance of the dog itself is a budgeted item through the sheriff's office. Acquiring the dog is what I like to call the great insult. This is our irony. We go out and find and seize funds from criminals, and those funds in turn buy more dogs. So you're going out and finding illegal narcotics in a brand new car that's been paid off, and we turn around and sell that car and then buy more dogs with it.
Right, gotcha. Now, I've seen the teams, in various demonstrations and on the street and stuff, and I can tell that obviously they don't speak English to the dogs. What languages do they speak to the dogs, and why?
It really depends on the dog's training. If you get a dog that's been trained in another language, you want to stay consistent with that. Unless, in my case, my dog came to us with a big list of Hungarian commands, and I was going to insult the Hungarian language if I used that. So he was forced to learn German, which I had used with my first dog, and he did it a whole lot quicker than I would have learned those Hungarian commands. You'll hear today Dutch commands, German commands, English commands. There really is no way to do it, certain way to do it. It started years gone by when criminals were thwarting a dog in pursuit by using an English command. So they went to a different language, and then the different language, the criminals of course adjusted to that also. So what we do now is we train the dog to listen to the handler and the handler only. So it really doesn't matter what language the person he's pursuing is talking to him, he's going to finish what he's tasked to do.
Now, when it comes to the scenting of the dogs and tracking and specifically, I guess, drugs and explosives, how many different kind of scents can they detect?
I don't think they've got limits. I really don't. I'm the one to say that I've never seen my dog's limits. In the 8.5 years we've been together, I've never seen his limits. Now there are things that he is trained to the fullest extent of his abilities. Could I add something? I'm sure I could. And would he adjust to it? I'm sure he would. Even as an old dog, that old dog new trick stuff, that doesn't work in our business.
Now, after they detect the scent that they're looking for, or what they've been, I guess, directed to look for, how do you know when they've found it?
Different alerts for different things. There are two schools of thought in narcotics work, both an aggressive alert where the dog scratches, barks, bites at what he's been trained to find. Passive alert is when the dog sits or lays down. My business as a bomb dog handler, a dog that barks and bites at something that might explode is a little unhealthy. So we're more towards the passive response. The dog sits when he smells what he's been trained to find.
Well, we're talking about drugs and scents and things like that. Well, what's one of the biggest busts one of our canine dogs have made?
Over the years, there's so many, but the one that sticks out in my mind is 2 summers ago, we had a dog that apprehended his own killer.
That was Vasco.
Vasco, yes.
And I guess that would really kind of lead to the next question is has there ever been a time where your dog has saved your life or the life of someone else?
I'm sure he has a couple of times. The dog's abilities, the dog's sense, just his sense of smell, his sense of hearing, his sense of sight, it's so much more powerful than mine. And truly, when we're in a search environment, I'm always looking at the dog to see what he's telling me, body posture and such like that, the part of the alert. And I'm sure that he has shown me things that have kept me from being hurt plenty of times.
So it's just as much part of the handler reading the animal as the animal is doing their job and alerting on what they found.
Yes, it is. That's the team concept.